Hello, welcome to the latest installment of Cut to the Chase. I'm Jeff Barker with the product management team here at Synack, and I'm joined by Tim Nordvedt. Tim, you want to introduce yourself?
Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, as mentioned, my name is Tim Nordvedt. I am one of the solutions architects here at Synack, and I'm looking forward to today's topic.
Great, thanks, Tim. It's great to be here with you. Today, we're here to explore our new executive reporting capability, the latest edition of our leading penetration testing as a service, or PTaaS, platform. With the addition of this new reporting, we offer the industry's most comprehensive security testing experience. That includes attack surface discovery, which really helps you maintain a list of your attack surface assets. Attack surface analytics really helps you make sense of that data, make it actionable. Sometimes we're really hit with a bunch of data and it's tough to know what to act on. So those analytics help you act on that data. We make that data actionable with vulnerability discovery and testing. Really, it features automated and human-led discovery of those vulnerabilities, leading to the whole vulnerability management process, which the net of it is remediating those vulnerabilities, acting on them and actually fixing them. It's not enough just to know I've got new vulnerabilities. It's really all about fixing the ones that are important. And then reporting helps us share findings and performs root cause analysis to improve processes. We continue to recreate the same vulnerabilities. And if we have insight into what we're doing and why we're doing it, we can improve processes. And the mission here is to really eliminate vulnerabilities before we create them. So if you want to learn more about our PTaaS offering, listen to the latest Cut to the Chase that describes our PTaaS value. And it describes it in more detail and also contrasts it with traditional penetration testing. So now let's dig into the details of our new executive reporting. Tim, what's your perspective on the new reporting capability? How does it advance penetration testing beyond where we are today?
No, absolutely, Jeff. I like how you termed it a comprehensive approach to security testing. And your one phrase in there, how we're helping to eliminate vulnerabilities before they're created. Because as a solutions architect, one of my roles when I work with customers is to help them move beyond a reactive to a proactive stance when it comes to addressing their security posture. Because as you mentioned, we don't want to help them just address existing threats, but transition to anticipating and mitigating against future risk. What we're going to talk about today with executive reporting and analytics, we want to work with security leaders that help them translate security data into strategic actions. Because as you mentioned, it's not just about identifying weaknesses, it's the ability to transform data into insights and then into tangible improvements that help them improve the value of security investments. One of the reasons we did this here at Synack is, as you know, Jeff, we believe that a data-driven approach enables security leaders to create specific and actionable guidance. This ensures that every security measure implemented is both effective and efficient. And I'm sure you're thinking, it all sounds great and those are some great goals, but how are we doing that actually? So let me share my screen here and we'll introduce you to what we're doing in our platform.
Great. I'm looking forward to it.
So what we have here is we're introducing some business intelligence functionality within our platform, the ability to derive real-time insights from the security testing data. One of the first goals when we did this, Jeff, when we were talking about what we need to do here is we need to help security leaders drive more granular insights. Traditionally, when you look at security testing data, you get really high-level overviews and you get broad strokes, but that doesn't always tell the real story. In this example here, if we just start at the top here, look at the top vulnerability categories, it's really easy to look at this and think, well, cross-site scripting is the issue we need to address. If we drill in here, we can see 38% of vulnerabilities are cross-site scripting. But as a security leader, our job is to address what poses the biggest risk to our organization. So just because it's a high count doesn't necessarily mean that's the biggest risk. So if we drill a level deeper, we look at subcategories, which kind of goes one step lower than the categories. Again, we could stop here and see, JSON injection, reflected cross-site scripting, indirect object reference. That's 50% of our vulnerability. So maybe that's where we need to focus our efforts. But I always like to take it one step deeper. And like I said, let's focus on what's the biggest risk to our organization. So if we start to overlay severity data over those same data points, And let's just remove the lower risk stuff, some of the lows and mediums, and focus on what is the biggest risks to us. And you see, if we just look at highs and criticals, cross-site scripting is now number 3 in the risk. Authentication session information disclosure is what's the biggest risk. And again, with the goal of getting more granular, let's do the same thing with subcategories. Let's remove the lows and the mediums, just focus on what's the biggest risk to our organization. We can see, default credentials is actually the biggest risk to our organization right now. And account enumeration is number 2, JSON injection number 3. So you can see when we looked at broad strokes, cross-site scripting popped out as number 1. And when we get more detailed and granular and look at it from a risk perspective, it's not even the top 3. So Jeff, I don't know if you have any thoughts, but one thing I like about this is not just can we drive the insight, but the speed at which we can drive it. I mean, if you take out my talk track, I mean, in less than 30 seconds, these are insights that our users can come in and get from their security testing.
Yeah, this is great, right? And it's interesting. One of the things I hear when I talk to security leaders is it's like, Jeff, I don't need more vulnerabilities. I got plenty of them. I need to make better decisions on what to act, where my risk is. So I think this is super pertinent and really interesting, right? Because it really highlights the risky areas and making sure we're applying our resources, to solve those problems. So it's super interesting, drilling down through just the big numbers. We all like to show the big numbers, but where do I act?
That's a great point, Jeff. And just highlight some other features in here. What we're talking about now is looking at security testing data from more of a point in time perspective. While it's very crucial to do that because that's going to help you address your immediate threats, it's equally important to evaluate security posture over a period of time and take a more longitudinal analysis that will help you identify trends, measure the effectiveness of your interventions, and understand where your security efforts are actually making an impact and maybe where more focus is needed. So jumping over, we have this trends section in our platform. This is going to give you 2 things. It's going to give you a vulnerability count over time, broken down by category, and then the same thing by severity. So what I like about this area is kind of this trend line here on the far right. It gives you a month-by-month count by category of what vulnerabilities are looking like. So you can see you're trending up or down in different areas. And in this example here, let's say, the month of December, we can see pretty much across all categories, we have a spike in vulnerabilities being discovered. And maybe this maps back to our application teams, pushed out a new major release to our platform. And, sometimes when new releases comes new risks. So maybe that's somewhat expected. And over the next 4 to 6 weeks, teams were working to mitigate those risks. And between January and February, maybe we deployed some new WAF to protect our perimeter. Maybe we made some updates to address the risk. And we can physically see in the month of February, everything is starting to trend down. So real quickly, as a leader, I can come in here and I can look, how are the implementations, the plans that I'm putting out there, the directions I'm giving the team, how are they affecting our overall security posture over time? And from a trend perspective, maybe we look over here at the severity. Again, maybe we see a spike here in March and everything's trending down. But right here with criticals, we see everything's trending down, but criticals jumps back up in March. So in the last month or so. So maybe this is an area I need to drill in with my teams that, why is everything trending down, but we've introduced a few critical vulnerabilities, to our environment. One of our value propositions here at Synack is noise reduction. And kind of like you were mentioning, Jeff, it's not that we need more vulnerabilities. We just need to know where to focus. And with items like this, we can get that laser focus and put that magnifying glass in here specifically where you need to focus to create that actionable intelligence. Now, Jeff, you have any thoughts to add here?
No, I think it's fantastic. I think, what we're really seeing, I think, is a shift in the industry, right? We're really moving from penetration testing as something that's a separate process, a separate report, a separate team. And historically, we really haven't been able to leverage that data and that investment in the testing practice to improve our processes, right? But if we start to run that testing through, a PTaaS platform like ours, you start to get this data, and and we're actually getting more for our penetration testing investment, right? We're actually able to say, am I improving over time? So I think, information like this really changes the game, and really shows organizations how they can truly leverage penetration testing for more than just, satisfying the auditor.
No, yeah, and kind of building on that, how to use penetration testing for more than just kind of the front end metrics to satisfy auditors. Yeah, I think we need to recognize the value of security testing goes beyond, as you mentioned, merely just identifying vulnerabilities in security. We would be remiss in our responsibility as a security practitioner if we did not discuss the role of security testing as it relates to validating and demonstrating where systems are secure and resilient. So as
Yeah.
important it is to identify vulnerabilities up front, we also, as you mentioned earlier, we want to work with them through the entire process and show them through the closing and remediation of those vulnerabilities. So the last thing I'll touch on is this vuln response area. To start off here, as mentioned, we want to know where to focus our efforts when it comes to remediating those vulnerabilities. So we can quickly drill in here and see what teams still have open vulnerabilities. Are there specific areas we need to focus those remediation efforts so we can drive to zero? It's not about finding more vulnerabilities. How can we fix what we have and mitigate those future risks? We jump over here to average remediation by assessment. I always like to talk to this, like maybe there's lessons learned. Maybe some teams are better at remediating than others. And in this example here, we can see averages ranging from 8 days all the way up to 65 days. So maybe we talk to the team that has the 8-day average remediation, and maybe there's some lessons learned. We can take that and apply to the teams with the higher averages, the 36 and 65, to help them drive down and create a more collaborative environment. We also provide insight into remediation times by vuln categories. So maybe there's specific vuln categories that teams are having trouble remediating, and we can focus efforts there. Average remediation by vuln severity. Most organizations we talk to, they have SLAs around certain severity levels have to be fixed in certain times. So this is a quick way to come in, ensure, and validate that teams are adhering to those SLAs. And wrapping up here, I'll toss it back to you here, Jeff, in a second to close it up. But I just want to kind of reiterate that, our goal with this is to help security leaders, focus on the discovery and validation on the vulnerability discovery side and the remediation side to help provide that more clear picture of the security posture. And we believe it's this holistic view that will allow you to reinforce your commitment to maintain a secure environment and demonstrate the tangible benefits of your security initiatives. So with that, Jeff, I'll toss it to you for any closing thoughts.
Yeah, I really appreciate the tour, Tim. It's been great. I think what we're really seeing here with this data, right, and the whole package from discovery to testing, all the way through reporting and root cause analysis and process, is a real continuous testing methodology, right? That helps us take our security testing mainstream, integrate it into the infrastructure, make it part of the processes, right? In the old world, where it took me 60, 90 days to get a tester on site or a tester on target, right? Notionally, it just wasn't possible to integrate testing into my operational processes, right? But with a PTaaS platform and this complete solution, we actually can do that now. We can get more out of our testing investment, right? And leverage it more. And a recent survey that we did with Enterprise Strategy Group, where we went out and asked organizations their perspective on security testing and penetration testing and where they applied it and where it benefited the organization, there was a number that came back that was pretty eye-opening, which is only 32% of organizations leverage penetration testing to inform their security strategy. And if we think about it, there's one thing that we can probably do that most closely emulates what an attacker does, and that's penetration testing. And yet we're not leveraging that. And if you think about how we've delivered this traditionally, right, where we get a tester, delivers a PDF, we don't stand a chance to integrate that information and inform our security strategy. So I think there's a real opportunity to turn that number upside down moving forward by providing this complete package and really getting more out of the data and getting more out of your security testing investment. And so, I think it's really an exciting time for all of us that have been in the security industry for a long time to actually make real progress here. So I appreciate your time, Tim, and the tour through the reporting, and I appreciate everybody's time. If you'd like to learn more about our PTaaS, check out our website. It's all there. You can see exactly what we do, and we'd love to talk to you if you're interested in exploring more about what Synack has to offer. So thank you very much.
Thank you.